being circulated. Page 1. Page 2. Yes, Woolly East, page 2.
Page 1. Yes, page 1, laying of papers and reports, number 1. What we say is environment, sustainable development and NGO affairs, not environment and sustainable development and NGO affairs. Thank you. You've seen it.
I'm sure the table office will liaise with the chair of the committee to get it corrected. Thank you. Yes. So we can move over to page 2. Anything on page 2, honorable members? Yajara East. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, allow me to take you to the cover page. The cover page, here. The address, you have Reverend Pylane. If you come down, you have Regional Pylane. They are not speaking the same language. On top, you have Reverend Pylane. You come down, you have Regional Pylane. Yes.
I think this is not the first time that it has been raised. I think it's about time we get it corrected. Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you. Page 2. Page 3. Let's make sure that everybody is captured correctly, whether absent or present, so that my left-hand side? No? Okay. Oh, that is it. Okay, thank you. Yes, Bill Kamanov.
The same applies to me and Honourable Lamin FM Konta. We are present and marked absent.
On the attendance, you can have a look at it and we can always come back to it. It continues on page 5. Actually, my attention is being drawn to the fact that honorable members who came in a little bit late after the bell, after the register was closed, should always contact the table office. Otherwise, probably we will continue to have this sort of discrepancy. Just contact the table office and you will be recorded, and then it will reflect on the records. Thank you. Page 5, still on page 5. Page 5. Page 6. Yes, Lower Badibu. No, it's sorry, Lower Fuladu West.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Number 3, laying of papers and reports. The third paragraph, last line. NGO affairs for further scrutiny and report back to the Assembly. Report back to the Assembly. The Assembly is missing there. Thank you.
Include back to the Assembly. Thank you. Jara East.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Laying of papers and reports. Report of the Joint Committee on PEC and Environment, Sustainable Development and NGO Affairs on the Petroleum Commission Bill 2020 by, I think you should have read, co-care.
No. No.
Yes, it was jointly distinct.
Forecast.
Co-care. Thank you.
No.
Woolley East, yes, Woolley East, and then Nyanija.
Yes, on the same page, last paragraph, first line, where it's a honorable member for Jara East, and it's a member of the committee. This time he's a co-chair of the joint committee.
I think that we always include the coach.
It's also a co-chair.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Nyanija, or you, okay, then I think it was Upper Nyomi. You had your tag on? No? Okay. Any more observations on page 6? Page 6. Then page 7. We move on to 7. Page 7. Thank you. Page 8, are we satisfied with the latter on page 7? The interventions, okay. Page 7, yes, Lower Fulodu.
At page 8, you said page 8. Yes. Okay, second paragraph. The Honourable Minister for Petroleum and Energy responded to issues. You strike out the article D. And if you go to paragraph 3 also, the second line, report to respond to issues raised in the report and wind up the debate.
Are you proposing?
The article D should be strike out.
Continuation, page 8. Yes, Woolley East.
8. Third paragraph, first line. They just put table in bracket. Does not make this. We just say who tabled the report, instead of putting table in bracket. So wherever that is, we should correct it, because it's it's all over. Yeah, all right.
I think it was Upper Nyomi. You had your tag on? No? Okay. Any more observations on page 6? Page 6. Then page 7. We move on to 7. Page 7. Thank you. Page 8, are we satisfied with the latter on page 7? The interventions, okay. Page 7, yes, Lower Fuladu.
At page 8, you said page 8. Yes. Okay, second paragraph. The Honourable Minister for Petroleum and Energy responded to issues. You strike out the Article D. And if you go to paragraph 3 also, the second line, respond to issues raised in the report and wind up the debate.
Are you proposing?
The Article D should be strike out.
Continuation, page 8. Yes, Woolly East.
8, third paragraph, fourth line. They just put table in bracket. Does not make this. We just say who tabled the report, instead of putting table in bracket. So wherever that is, we should correct it, because it's in it's all over. Yeah, all right.
As was observed, it has occurred here again.
But we made a general correction that anywhere it appears in brackets, it should be removed. Thank you. Page 11. No. Page 12. Sorry, 11, yes, Jara East.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Page 11, question put and agreed to on the be it resolved. I want to be enlightened here. What is the justification for putting resolved in capitals? Is there any grammatical justification? Thank you.
Thank you. Any more on page 11? Page 12 then. We move on to 12. Woolly East.
Page 12.
Woolly East, yes.
Yes, question put and agreed to the third line. In the bill is on the births, deaths, and marriages. So we should put S on the births. You've seen that? Okay, thank you.
Is it again? Okay, ensuing debate, the following honourable members took the floor and spoke on the report. Honourable Usman Ture, number 1. He should be omitted because he seconded and spoke on the report.
Honourable Speaker, thank you very much. The Honourable Chairperson of the Select Committee on Health, Women, Children, Disaster, Refugees as opposed to refugee. Thank you.
Are you on page 12 or page 13?
Page 12.
Okay, you go back to page 12 then, yes.
Yes, refugees as opposed to refugee. Thank you.
Second paragraph? The second paragraph?
Yes.
Yes, I've got it. Thank you. Page 13. Lower Fuladu.
Page 13, the first paragraph after the list of names. At this juncture, Honorable Speaker invited the Honorable Attorney General, Minister for Justice, to respond to issues instead of some of the issues. Yeah, exactly.
Then we move over to 14, 14, page 14. Page 15, 15. No? Yes, Sabasanjan, 15.
Yes, page 15. When the question was put for those in favor to say please aye, and those not in favor to say please no, it's different from the previous questions. So for consistency purposes, it should read as when the question was put for those in favor to please say aye, instead of to say please aye. Okay. Yes, and wherever it appears, you change it.
Woolly East, yes.
Yes, thank you. Suspension of the assembly under clause 13. The first paragraph, second line. It says 2.5 hours. It's suspended for 2.5 hours, but they put 2:30 hours in bracket. Is that representing 2.5 hours? It's not representing two. I think the language there is enough. When they put 200,
we don't seem to be together. Are you on page 15 or 16?
No, we are on 16 now. I think you were answering 16. 16.
Any more on page 16? No? Page 17 then? Yes, Woolly is 17.
Woolly West. He said the Honourable Chairperson of the committee, under that, the second paragraph, the first line, he further informed the Honourable members that the bill was consequently referred. So consequently, subsequently referred or consequently referred? I think it's subsequently referred.
We'll take note of that. Thank you. Any more corrections? You could have done your corrections.
Yes. Just I forgot to. Also, the paragraph under that, the second line, it says table its report before the assembly as indicated. You put D there, as indicated. And when you come to the second to last paragraph, it said nominated member Honorable Ndeye Yasin Seka tabled the report of the committee. We were trying to emphasize something Braille, because it's something special. So I think to capture Braille, we say in Braille for consideration and adoption. That would be nice.
Not get your observations, because what I am reading here is nominated member Honourable Ndeye Yasin Seka tabled the report of the committee for consideration and adoption by the assembly. Are you satisfied with that?
No, we are saying she did it in Braille for the first time. So I think it should be captured, and I feel that would be nice.
Yeah, Woolly West.
I'm sorry to take you back to page 16, and it is repeated in other pages that we have passed. The sentence structure is not correct. When the question was put for those in favor to say please. You don't say to please say aye, not to please to say please.
That I ask that what I have here in favor
To please say, not to say please.
please say.
To please say no or to please say yes or aye, but not to say
Obviously,
please.
to say please I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I think you all know that.
So,
Yeah, the correction would be done wherever it appears. It will be done accordingly. So we go to 18. We're on page 18. Yes, nominated member, they are seen.
Thank you very much, Ma. I think the two should be out completely. Just please say aye. Those not in favor, please say aye. And those in favor, please say no. I think the two should be out.
Honourable. Thank you. Continuation. The ensuing debate. Have we captured names of honourable members who took part? Okay. 19. Please. Yes, Woolley is 19.
19, where they said the ensuing debate continued. I have a problem with that. I think either you put ensuing debate or you just say the debate ensued or the debate continued. But ensuing debate continued. I think continued and ensuing are more or less the same. Don't you think so?
To be corrected because I wasn't here, was that the debate started and then there was a motion to sit beyond 6 o'clock and then it continued after the motion. I stand to be corrected, but it appears as if this is what actually transpired. Am I right? Thank you. 19 here. Page 20. Page 20. Sorry, 21. Page 21. Yes, Woolley.
Yes, the last, where you have the ayes had it, under the paragraph under that. We closed the session yesterday, and that what was announced by the speaker was 10.
Much. Honourable members, the Office of the Speaker is in receipt of a request made by the Honourable Member for Kiang Central seeking permission under Clause 51, subclauses 1 and 2 of the standing orders to make a statement to the Assembly on the incident that occurred at Sanyang in Kombo South, West Coast region. Honourable members, having considered the request of the honourable member under the provisions of the relevant standing orders, that is clause 51, subclause 3A, B, C, and D, and 51, subclause 5, And noting that the request has satisfied the standing orders provisions, the request is hereby granted for the honorable member to make a statement to the Assembly. However, our attention is being drawn, that is to all of us, to clause 51(8) of the standing orders, that the time allocated for matters of the day shall not exceed 3 minutes for the honorable members who may wish to make a statement, and the time allowed shall not exceed 30 minutes in total. I therefore urge honorable members to observe the said clauses of the standing orders for our guidance. May I now call on the honorable member for Kiang Central to make his oral statement. Honorable member, thank you. You can go ahead.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, please permit me to express my deepest frustration with the incident that occurred on Monday in the village of Sanyang, which has claimed the life of a young person. The incident was very unfortunate and called for practical efforts, particularly from the government, to ensure that the issue is investigated as quickly as possible, and that such a thing never happens again. I wish to use this medium to call on the police through the Minister of Interior to launch investigations and reach to the very bottom of the matter. May I add that the outcome of the investigation must be made public so that people get to know the event and forces that led to such aggravated anger and destruction. Honorable Speaker, you might realize that most of the people involved in the incident are young people. This must take the attention and interest of the government, as young people are the cream of this nation. It is about time that the government stopped paying lip service to youth empowerment and committed itself to creating concrete opportunities for the youth so that they become useful members of the society. Honorable Speaker, unlawful killings such as the incident we have witnessed in Sanyang is becoming commonplace in the country. Just under 3 months, 3 young people were stabbed to death at Joko nightclub in Brikama, as if that was not scary enough. We have all witnessed the heinous and mysterious killings of individuals in Nyamina East. This incident, up till now, nothing concrete has come out of it from investigators. We must not let our country graduate into a jungle community. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, and to sum up, what happened in Sanyang must not continue. And the only way we cannot let it continue is to ensure that there is justice. When the root causes of the incident are adequately addressed, I am positive that such a thing would never happen again, be it in Sanyang or elsewhere in the country. Honorable Speaker, with that few remarks, I thank you very much for giving me the floor.
Very much, honorable member. I'll now open the floor for statements from honorable members. But as I said earlier on, the statement should not exceed 3 minutes, and a total of 30 minutes will allow. Yeah. Sorry, Jara Central. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I would also want to join the Honorable Member for Kiang Central in the feelings that he got when we had that sorrowful incident in Sanyang that leads to a loss of a life. Honorable Speaker, last night I saw on QTV the PRO for the police, the PRO of the police being interviewed about the incident, and what I heard him saying it was definitely a justified reason that they are on course to find the root cause of the incident. But the only thing I have to say, Honourable Speaker, is that I am urging all Gambian youths, in no matter what problem you involve yourself or find yourself, not to take the law into your hands. We have seen so many incidents happening in the country. Sometimes lives are lost just due to certain negligence of knowing the law or respecting the cause of the law. So in so doing, Honourable Speaker, in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say here is that I'm urging all the citizens of the Gambia, particularly the youths who are mostly involved in these crimes, not to take the law into their own hands. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Very much. Serekunda, 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. The member wishes for us to focus attention on a happening that is of exceptional consideration and concern by the people at large. Life is the most precious thing that a person possesses. So in that regard, when life is lost, not only our nation but the whole world should be concerned. And that is what this assembly should be concerned with. And I believe the Standing Committee on Constitution and Human Rights should take interest in this in order to know exactly what is happening and what has happened. We should not presume, because there's always presumption of innocence when you deal with the issue of crime. But essentially, we should take interest, because it went beyond the issue of an individual to deal with a community, to deal with resources, to deal with property, to deal with lives. So in that regard, we should try to find out what actually happened, why it was enlarged to such a level, and what we can do to address the problem at the root rather than just placate it. It is important that we show real grief for the life that is lost, but we must also be able to strengthen our system of crime prevention and a system of justice so that no one will feel aggrieved either because of the miscarriage of justice at any level. So this is happening, and our role now is to look at it and see how we can prevent recurrence. Thank you.
Honourable Speaker, thank you very much. I join my colleagues to felicitate member for Kiang Central for this timely intervention. Honourable Speaker, it is the duty of government to protect its citizens, especially when life is involved. As we all know, life is quite precious. Honourable Speaker, travesty of justice anywhere is travesty of justice everywhere. And it goes without saying, justice delayed is justice denied. I'm therefore calling on the government to investigate this matter expeditiously and judiciously. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member for Nyamina East.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. The statement before us is basically is sparked by the incident that occurred in Sanyang. But if you get to the bottom of the statement, of course, we have seen other places being emphasized, the case of Birkama and, of course, Nyamina East. Honourable Speaker, the security sector is basically meant to protect lives and properties. And obviously, if we continue seeing people being killed on the street, obviously then one will be doubting whether or not the security sector reform, it is actually going as one would expect it. Honorable Speaker, it will interest you to know in my area, Nyamina East, 3 individuals were killed, deliberately killed in just one particular place in Nyamina East, Kudang itself, where we have the army barracks, where we of course have the police station. And it will interest you to know where these dead bodies are found is just less than 200 meters from the police station. And this is exactly what has been happening in just less than 6 months. So it is actually scaring to the people of Nyamina East and the Gambia at large, because we have seen the same incident in Birkama, and of course, just yesterday we have seen such in Sanyang. So we are calling on the government to do everything possible to ensure that they investigate the matter. Because the first killing took place, there was no result obtained still. The second killing took place in Nyamina East Kudang, there is no investigation result obtained. Of recent, we have experienced another killing in Nyamina Kudang, no result is obtained. So we are calling on the government to investigate and get us a report, comprehensive report, starting from the first killing to the last killing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. This morning, a neighbor visited my house and expressed his concern on this incident, as well as the position of the National Assembly, labeled the National Assembly as if the National Assembly is not paying attention to what was happening in Sanyang, but rather debating on establishing friendship with the Senegalese National Assembly. I responded, the Parliament has procedures. What was on the table was establishing friendship with other national assemblies, including that of Senegal. And I'm very much sure that this matter would be brought before the National Assembly, then it will be debated. Then there you will see how the National Assembly is going to express its concern. If this morning the Honourable Member for Kiang West acted exactly, Kiang Central, exactly what I've told the man, I think is very timely. I thank you for that. Equally, the incident that happened is very unfortunate and regrettable, and I must say that I really condemn the action, and on that, I extend my condolences to the bereaved family and then call for calm and urge the police to mount thorough investigation. In doing so, Madam Speaker, the police need to be fully equipped so that they can always try to act, to take remedial measures against this kind of incident. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Banjul Sir.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much, Honourable Member for Kiang Central, for coming up with this today. It is very important, especially to us female members, being mothers of this nation. Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Member for Kiang Central requested particularly from the government to ensure that the issue is investigated as quickly as possible and that such a thing should never happen again. And I will make emphasis on what the Honourable Member for Serekunda said, that not only should they make this investigation, but a report, I would add, should be presented to this August House, which should be referred to the relevant committee so that they can do further investigations and come up with recommendations. Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Member said that the government should stop paying lip service to youth empowerment. Not only should they stop paying lip service, but I think they should also invest a lot more rather than depend on goodwill from outside to develop our youth. Honourable Speaker, the youth are always recognized as the backbone of this country. But what are we doing? We should recognize the importance of youth development in nation building. And I think if this government is serious about nation building, they shouldn't pay lip service in youth development. They should focus more and invest more in youth empowerment, in youth development. That is the only way they can address the root causes of these issues. Honorable Speaker, I have been to the length and breadth of this country these past few weeks, and what I have seen, it's appalling, it's heartbreaking to see the youth of this country. Most of them are educated, but they cannot find employment. Honorable Speaker, I went to the Kiangs, I went all the way to where the river is. Honorable Speaker, I saw the youth sitting. All they need is investment. Give them vessels so that they can go and use what God has given us so that they can feed themselves and their families. We appeal to this government to look into youth issues, to empower the youth rather than depend on goodwill from outside. Because what we are given from outside, we will be imposed on how to use it. If we use our own resources, Honorable Speaker, we can know where, how, and when to use our own resources on our children that we depend on tomorrow to build this nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Talinding, please, 3 minutes. We're almost up to the 30 minutes allocated.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me the floor. I would also like to join my colleague to condemn the killing of an innocent youth by the name Jibril Jata. And I also call on the youths of Sanyang to remain calm and allow the law enforcement agencies to do their work. Madam Speaker, I don't think killing a Gambian have to do anything with what happened. The burning of foreign investors and the attack on our police station is uncalled for. As mothers, I think we should be an exemplary character. We should tell the youth who was killed by a non-Gambian, and the police are doing their job. Youths are burning police station and foreign investors. That is totally unacceptable. As elders, as lawmakers, we should all condemn that. And we cannot, this is a collective responsibility. We cannot blame the government, neither the police institution. We all condemn the killing that happened at Faraba Bantang. We all condemn the security officers. It means that we are disarming them. If we want the security personnel to operate and put this country in the right direction, we must equip them and we must encourage them. But we should not be saying that the police are not doing their job with the risk attached to their work. And the reason why I say this is a collective responsibility, I can take my community as a whole, Talinding. That place is a free crime zone now. If the late IG is around, he would have attested to that. We have a community policing that involves the youths of Talinding, both male and female, and they drag all the criminals out of Talinding now without the involvement of the police. Let's work collectively and stop this blame game. This is our country. Nobody will set this country on fire for us. Let's tell the youths the truth. Somebody was killed, and the police are mounting an investigation. You are burning a police station. What kind of youths are we having? We don't expect those youths to be something here tomorrow. You are a youth. We expect you to be a responsible elder tomorrow. You are burning a police station. You are burning a foreign investor. What that investor has to do with the killing of an innocent Gambian? We all feel the situation, and we condemn the killing. But what the youths are doing, we should discourage it. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Actually, we're 2 minutes ahead of the, we've gone beyond the 30 minutes, but I thank the Honourable Member for making this statement and equally thank the Honourable Members for also their contributions on the statement made by the Honourable Member for Kiang Central. Now, Clerk, can we proceed then with the next item on the agenda? Thank you.
Questions for oral answer.
Honourable members, as usual, today please, can we have one meeting, please? Honourable members, please. Today is questions for oral answers in accordance with Standing Orders Clause 41, Subclause 1. I just wish to remind the Assembly that Standing Order 43 limits supplementary questions to 7 in total. That is 2 for the Honourable Member asking the original question and 5 from amongst other honorable members. And now we can proceed with the honorable ministers scheduled for today to give their oral answers. Clerk, can we proceed, please? Thank you.
Questions for oral answer by the Honourable Minister for Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology.
Thank you very much. Questions for which due notices were given to the Honourable Minister for Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology by honourable members for oral reply. Please, question number. Just a second, I'll get the, yes, question number 238 of 2020 by the honourable member for Sandu. Honourable members, you will recall that we had some backlog last session, so that's why we're trying to finish off the questions that were. Is it Sandu? Yes, honourable member for Sandu.
Honourable Speaker, can I make a point?
238, yes, 238 of 2020.
Honourable Speaker.
Sorry.
Can I make reference to the standing orders? I would want to make reference to the standing orders regarding the questions, the backlog. Orders regarding the backlog in terms of the questions. Honourable Speaker, Standing Order 41, paragraph 2 is saying, any question which appears on the order paper and which is not disposed of by the time the Assembly adjourns on a Wednesday shall be placed on the order paper approved by the Assembly Business Committee for answer on another day of that week. But it goes further. Any question which appears on the order paper and which is not disposed of by the time the Assembly adjourns on a Friday shall receive a written answer within 2 clear working days. I believe that we should adopt that procedure to be able to get rid of the backlog so that we will not just proceed up to the end of the year without answering the questions. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll ensure that we don't have any backlog. Thank you. Sandu?
All right, thank you very much, Honourable Speaker.
My attention, Honourable Member for Serekunda, is being drawn by the table office that these questions were not on the order paper. They were not on the agenda because I'm sure they must have checked the time and the fact that we may not be able to, but they were submitted in 2020. I think that's the underlying here. They were submitted but not on the agenda. But we'll take note. Thank you. We'll take note. Sandu, yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, can the Honourable Minister for Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology inform this August Assembly if his ministry has any plans to establish skill training center in Shandu?
Thank you. Madam Speaker, depending on the availability of funds, the ministry has plans to establish training centers in Sandu and indeed in other regions, especially CRR and URR North.
You don't have any supplementary? Then we can take 7. Yes, Serekunda.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. The Minister seems to have extended our opportunity to ask supplementary. Is there a plan, concrete plan in the establishment of skills centers all over the country? If not, would the minister undertake to develop that plan? A comprehensive one, national one.
The only caveat is let it be connected. Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Yes, the ministry has plans. It is part of the strategic plan of the ministry overall sector plan. And it is not only for the Ministry of Higher Education, but also for the Ministry of Basic Education. Hence the interministerial meeting that we are having on Thursday and Friday this week. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honourable Minister, you mentioned Sandu and other CRR and URR North. Honourable Minister, what I was suggesting is that we have central points in all the regions. I would suggest that we have a skill center in every region, just like our sister countries identify areas and have like manufacturing centers in, because these skill centers would reduce not only illegal migration outside the country, but inter-regional migration as well. Are you considering that as well? And also looking at areas where they have where they have certain skills. For example, if you go to the CRR, where they have the Jahalis, and the LRR, where they have the Jahalis and stuff, to make sure that they have centers that can teach them as to the skills that they need to be employed locally in their areas as well. Are you considering that?
Okay, thank you very much. Madam Speaker, I think establishing the skill centers in each region is implied in the answer in the question, which says that in other regions, that means all the other regions, but we are giving special preference to CRR North and the URR North because these are the most deprived areas. In terms of skill center mapping, region the regions, we take into consideration the local skills that are required. Thank you.
Honourable Member for Opanyomi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. Honourable Minister, you said that you have plans to build skill centers all over the country, which is very welcoming. What I want to know is, how soon are you going to implement these plans?
The timeline for the, Madam Speaker, the timeline for the implementation of these plans would be related to the availability of resources, which we are working on both internally and outside.
Thank you. Sabah Sanja, Honourable Member.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Minister said that with the availability of funds, there are plans to build skill centers across the country. Now, specifically for Sandu, which specific town or village do you target when the funds are available?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. When the funds are available, we'll have to dialogue with the people of Sandu, including the member for National Assembly, since they have a better knowledge of the area than us. And based on the consensus at the village level, at the constituency level, we'll position the skill center at the appropriate place.
I'm sure they will all prioritize their constituencies. Honourable Member for Bakau.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Minister, you've indicated that establishment of a skill training center in Sandu depends on the development of the funds, availability of the funds. What are your plans of coming up with such initiations through the budget allocated to the ministry?
Madam Speaker, during the budget discussions, we have put emphasis on the establishment of skill centers. And I'm sure when the budget comes to this National Assembly, which is the appropriating authority, they look at those priorities and appropriate as appropriate.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. Honourable members, I have, according to the standing orders, I'm allowed only one more supplementary question. Now, I have an issue. In fact, you see now it makes it 3, but she's even last. But the 2 were simultaneously up, and it's between Basse and Lower. No, just let me land. I say it is between Basse and Lower Nyomi. Now, how do I solve it? Who will concede? No. I want to use my discretion judiciously. You want to help me out?
They are sitting on opposite direction. How did you see them at the same time? That's what I wanted to ask.
Madam.
Yes, I'm sitting here. I can see both of them at the same time. I saw them. Yeah, let me allow Basse. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Honourable Minister is trying to put the National Assembly into the center of the discussion. If funds are available, and we know if the Minister says that in the Parliament, he may mean some things. If the Minister can give a breakdown of that statement, if the funds are available. And secondly, I would like to inform the Minister whether he's aware that communities are coming. Recent country in Basse, almost $50 million project is on to build a skill center in Basse at Madekunda. I don't know whether the Minister is aware. In Garawoli, more than say $60 million have been mobilized. In fact, it's already built. In Koina, the same thing. So those communities, if the Minister can encourage them to work together with them, maybe they will help you to fill the gaps. I don't know whether you are aware. Thank you.
Thank you. I think given the people who live in those communities and they have the resources, I'm sure we will engage them to help us in other areas other than their areas, since they have the resources. We will talk to them, as you said, to dialogue with them with that. Unless I'm misunderstanding your question. Okay. Yeah.
Honourable.
Can you repeat it, please? Let me get it right.
For Woolly East, did you ask a question?
No.
No, please. My question is, did I give you the opportunity to ask? Good, fine. I've just seen my records. You're supposed to be number 6 before the last 2. So we will get there. Just come. Unless you want to withdraw,
yeah,
you can still ask your question. Woolly East.
Thank you. Honourable Minister, I asked 2 questions. You answer only one. I say if you can give the breakdown of the availability of funds.
Sorry,
that's one.
the breakdown?
The breakdown of the availability of funds. Secondly, I say the communities who are coming.
Sorry, just a minute. Let me get. How do you mean when you say the breakdown of the availability of funds? The sources of funds are the sources of funding that we want to tap.
I just want to ask you, what do you mean by saying if funds are available?
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Well, when we get the money. When we get the money. That's it.
That will never solve a problem.
I think we can proceed, Honourable. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
He is asking for another clarification.
Honourable members, please let us just accept the decision of the chair. Thank you.
Okay. I think.
For higher education, research, science and technology, for the answers provided to the Assembly. Honourable members, thank you very much for your supplementary questions. Now, Clerk, can we proceed with the next item.
Questions for oral answers by the Honourable Minister for Petroleum and Energy.
Thank you very much. Questions for which due notices were given to the Honourable Minister for Petroleum and Energy for oral reply. Question number 206 of 2020 by the Honourable Member for Busumbala constituency. He's absent, but I understand he's authorized the Honourable Member for, is it Sanementereng? Yes, to read his question. So, Honourable Member, you can proceed to read the question on behalf of Busumbala.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Honourable Speaker, there are a number of communities in Kiang, especially in Kiang West, that are without electricity. Can the Honourable Minister for Petroleum and Energy explain to this August Assembly whether those communities are not part of the Kiang electrification project?
Honourable Speaker, as you may be aware, the current Kiang electrification is an extension of the first phase of the Electricity Expansion Project, EEP, funded by the Exim Bank of India line of credit to the tune of $22.5 million, which is nearing completion. The EEP covers 63 communities in the West Coast region and 14 communities in Kiang. However, preparatory works of the second phase of the project are at an advanced stage, which includes, amongst others, the electrification of additional communities in Kiang West, Kiang Central, and Kiang East, linking Quinala to Tonyataba. In addition, more communities in Kiang and most areas countrywide will be electrified through the ongoing World Bank-funded ECOWAS Regional Electricity Access Project, with a total funding of about $66 million.
Okay. Sanementereng, you don't have any supplementary questions, so we can allow 7 supplementary questions.
Thank you. In response, the Honourable Minister indicated that the preparation works in the second phase are at advanced stage, which includes some communities in the Kiang West. Can you specifically mention how many communities are going to benefit from the second phase?
Honourable Speaker, it is the same way the villages will be wired and there will be electricity in the villages. That's the only way we do it. But then what I'm saying, the second phase, is that there is a balance of funds from Indian line of credit, which we will be using to do some part of Kiang West and also continue to the eastern part of Kiang. But then the $66 million, that's the regional ECORIC project. We have already surveyed the areas to be covered, and that's what we're going to extend to the rest of Kiang and the rest of the other part of the country.
Any more apart from Bakau? Yes, I've taken Bakau down.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Would the Honourable Minister indicate whether all villages are to be electrified and whether there is an outreach program where villages can lodge complaints to the ministry if they discover that they are being excluded?
Okay, that's a very good question. Honourable Speaker, there are 2 ways of electrifying communities, one on-grid and off-grid. So when we survey, we on-grid. What I'm talking about here is on-grid coverage. And we are also doing surveys for off-grid projects. So we are engaging, what NAVIC does is goes to the communities and then identify villages to be electrified. Okay? And the overall target is to have universal access.
and universal access by 2025, what they are made to the immediate SDG deadline of 2030, that to cover the whole country access, and that is through this kind of two projects, grid or off grid, and we have many grid projects. So villages can come, complain. Of course, the minister's office is open, Nawek is open, and many villages are still coming to me. Alcalis are coming to me, some VDCs are coming to me for their communities. But of course, electrification also, Nawek, as we know, is also, it's not actually a credible organization. It's a utility that it makes also profit. Okay, so what matters is, the concept here is, as I mentioned it here, is to have universal access. Whether you are whether you are rich or not, whether a small community or not, you have access to energy, as energy is a right. So that's the whole concept of the government. But access to energy actually is for the central government to make sure that communities have electricity, whether it will go on grid or off grid. So, but to complain to government, to complain to the ministry is obviously obvious. I mean, any community can come, and our office is open. And of course, even national assembly members come to me to complain about any area that are left out. But we are very much concerned that no communities will be left out, definitely.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honourable Minister, what were the criteria used for these 14 communities out of the rest?
The criteria to select communities? Well, okay. For example, let's say Kiang. We extend electricity towards Tonyatawa. Okay. We have two main lines. You have the extension line, to Tonyatawa from Quinala. That is the high tension line. And then you go off to the communities. So first, we look at communities that are nearest, because it's cheaper. If you have funds, we go further. Like a community is 6 kilometers off. It can be a big community, but then it's more expensive. We have to more funds to go into that. But then the objective is to close the gap between Kiang and Jara. And we continue that way, so that we can get sources. Right now, we are getting electricity from Farafenye. We got to expect electricity to come from OMVG and also from Senegal. So if you don't close that gap, definitely you cannot increase the access. So you have to look at first strategically how to close the gaps to be able to send electricity from Kotu and Brikama to Kiang and beyond, or from Farafenye or from Guinea-Conakry, wherever, and then to continue to Basse, and there's also power station in Basse, supply all the way down. So you must close those gaps, and then you go off to communities. So the further of the community, the more expensive it becomes. So that's why we have these other projects of $60 million projects that you can go further in the community. That's the strategy we're using now. Okay, so initially we think of community because you have to sell energy, so you have to buy it. But as said, every community should have electricity. For example, Kia, Udeba is a very small community, but it's very close to Dumoto. So on a normal circumstance, you get the Udeba cannot afford, so you go to Dumoto and leave Udeba behind. But because it's strategically located and it's not far from the load, so you just put electricity there. And as we put electricity there now, people are building good houses there now. You have seen development coming there. So that's why every community should have electricity. But then that's what we do now. According to our funds, we go along until we cover the country, and we go off. That's the general strategy here you're using.
Brikama North, did I? Oh, you did, yeah. Thank you. Lower Salum? Yes, Lower Salum.
Yes, thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Minister, I will connect my question to your answer, to your response. That's $66 million project. Already there are surveys in my end, that's Lower Salum. And I had a complaint from the Alcalos that there will be a compensation package. Each electric poles pass through your farmland, you'll be compensated. It is the same project that you are saying or not?
Well, okay. Right now,
the question, actually, the supplementary question refers to Salum. Supposing each individual assembly member refers to his or her constituency. No, that's why I say let us try to relate the supplementaries. No, just let me just finish. Let's always try to relate the supplementaries to the main question. If there is any ambiguity, if you need clarification, of course it's all right. But to bring in new elements, I think is what the standing orders don't allow. Just bear that in mind. Maybe you can reframe it in such a way that it will. Yeah.
I agree, Honourable Speaker. Here, he make a response of the $66 million project, countrywide, right? And there are survey. I think you said it. So I am connecting my question to this. There are survey in my end. It is this Lower Sound also is part of this $66 million project, and already there is a issues. So this is why I'm also trying to connect my question to your response. But if you think so, then I will withdraw it and I can talk to him. Yes, thank you.
There is reference in the response to, where is it? And most areas countrywide. That's why you are bringing in Upper Sado. I'm sure Sami will come up. Nyani will also, they will also come up. But thank you.
Yeah, I can. Yes, okay, two issues. Whether your constituency is part of the 60 million, okay? One, we just mentioned 60 million, that is the World Bank funded 60 million is for 100 kilometer radius from Soma, okay? And also Bilkama, okay? And then, but we have other funds. The African Development Bank, $17 million is also for access. So we have other projects that we have not mentioned here. But because this is Kiang, and Kiang is within that radius, that's why we put 60 million. But there are other funds also, other projects also confirmed, and that we are going to do electricity in other areas. So when you come to compensation, nowadays project commit compensation, especially with Project World Bank. I think this National Assembly approved 131 million for compensating the high tension where we're going to do. So that is part of compensation. So compensation is part of the, nowadays is this EIA, and compensation is part of the, any project. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I hope my question would not be thrown out. Honourable Minister, Bakindik is exempted from the high tension.
Out of the question.
Are you the speakers?
No, please, let's be serious. Can we ask supplementary question related to this?
Thank you very much, could the Honourable Minister, because in his answer he was saying that there are many people who are coming to him to lodge their complaints, which means that those areas, their issues are not addressed. So I want to know which are the areas that he is prioritizing and why, and when these people come to you, what do you normally do with them? Thank you.
Okay, I think the Honourable Speaker, I think the question is whether we have outreach whereby communities can come and complain. That is the question of the Serekunda, which is quite pertinent. So what I'm saying is that we do our survey and we select communities to electrify. Yes, people are free to come and complain about their communities, and we explain to them why, I'm explaining to this assembly, why and how we go about the villages. So if you come to us, we will explain to you, okay, why you cannot reach your place and when we think you can reach there, if possible. But it also depends on the availability of resources. So, but the issue is actually for us to have an avenue to be able to tell people, for them to be able to tell us their community is left out here and there. I think that's the question, yes.
Thank you, honourable members. We can still take two more supplementaries. Unless we're all satisfied, then we proceed. Thank you very much then. Question number 207 of 2020 by the Honourable nominated member, Neasin Seka. Honourable.
Thank you very much, Ma. Can the Honourable Minister for Energy, Petroleum and Energy inform this August gathering why?
Honourable, you can resume your seat. Please, table office, Mr. Conte, please, can you assist Honourable Seka? Thank you.
Honourable Speaker, can the Honourable Minister of for Petroleum and Energy inform this August gathering the reason for the erratic supply of water and energy, electricity, and can a permanent solution be found to address this issue? Because it has been a long time thing, so I would really like it. Sorry, it has been a long time, that's why. I put it on a braille issue, but I didn't know that it was coming today. Thank you.
So it's all right. The Honourable Minister will respond.
Honourable Speaker,
thank you.
The electricity problem in this country is historic, but as I speak now, NAWEC has made significant strides in increasing the available generation capacity from 61 megawatts in July this year to about 85 megawatts, thus closing the gap between supply and demand. The electricity supply situation countrywide is relatively stable as we now have excess generation capacity within Greater Banjul area, GBA, 24 hours operations in the North Bank and LRR, and at least 19 hours operations daily for CRR and URR. However, we occasionally experience blackouts due to old transmission and distribution networks, but funding is secured to rehabilitate, upgrade and modernize the networks for a greater stability. Honourable Speaker, we still have serious challenges in the water sector due to the high demand as opposed to the available supply. However, efforts are ongoing to increase the production capacity and also rehabilitate and upgrade the old transmission and distribution system within the Greater Banjul area through the 22.5 million Exim Bank of India's line of credit. This project is near completion, and in a few days' time, our additional 8 to 9 new boreholes will be added to increase production capacity with an additional 1 million liter reserve water tank at Sukuta Water Treatment Plant. When this project is completed, most affected areas will have significant improvements in their water supplies. In addition to this project, government have received 16 million euro grant funding from the French Development Agency to support NAWEC in improving the water supply situation in the Greater Banjul area. Madam Speaker, we will continue to work with donor partners and investors in the private sector for a permanent solution for both services.
Honourable Seka, any supplementary? Yes, please, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. Honourable Speaker, Honourable Minister is saying that is it 8 or 9 days? Or is it in 8 or 9 months? Because these have been promises that we've been receiving. I hope these areas will be part of those that we are prioritizing as far as your ministry is concerned.
Honourable Speaker, in response, I think I'll say in few days' time. That was in November. Right now the project has advanced. Okay, but energy solutions generally can be done. Permanent solutions cannot be done overnight. And currently, the projects that we are implementing now, we have secured funds are the one towards permanent solution. And overall, our overall strategy for electricity is to get universal access and solution by 2025. So we are working towards that projection. So GBA problems now, as we are sticking to now is that at least there has been improvement. We have a bit of capacity over the peak demand. The peak demand is about 70 megawatts. Now we have more than 80 megawatts. So at least we have a spin reserve. So this is leaning towards a permanent solution. We are increasing capacity, that's the supply, and to satisfy the demand. But the demand is also increasing. So we are working towards that. So the timing is actually now we are working, and as every month we improve. The time the question was asked, and now is different. And we hope this will continue.
Yes, you can have another one.
Thank you very much, Ma. I think when I was asking this, you all know what was happening, and it's still what is happening. What are you doing with NAVEC to make sure that Greater Banjul area, if you go to our houses now, you will know that there is no water, and our children do not know anything about having water in the daytime. But water, we all have our 20 liters gallon in our houses. So what are you doing with NAVEC to make sure that this issue has been addressed?
Honourable Speaker, I think that was part of my answer, that we have a project ongoing. So that project will increase water. There are some areas which didn't have water for some time, and the areas which have pressure problems. So sometimes you don't have water in your area, it's due to pressure problems. Okay? Sometimes the water comes in late at night, and sometimes in the day you don't have it. So that's the problem. So currently, the projects we are having now, we are increasing the capacity, increasing storage facility, and also upgrading the network, transmission network. That's why we have the problem. We are working on that. And also, furthermore, the one I mentioned about the Frank Development Agency, Euro Million projects, is also going to model, because one of the problems we have is that sometimes your end of the line, the pipeline is long, the end of it, you have a special problem there. If everybody is connected to that line, then before it reaches you, you don't have this water supply. So you have to model in a way that we know how to work out to get water supply pressure in every area. That's the actual solution, and we're working towards that. So it's really not an easy task. It's very difficult, but that's what we are, where we are now. We are working hardly on that. And you can see some areas which never had water. Today, some of them have started getting water, although not consistently at 24 hours as in some other areas, depending on the area. But we are definitely improving, and we are working hard to increase the capacity. The supply demand right now is being reduced.
Banjul, sir.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Minister, you said that this problem of water has been historic, but then it has been historic just like all the problems that we've had. But the issue is that we know it's historic, but we are dealing with other issues, knowing that water is life. It is the most basic that a government can offer to its people, yet still 80% or more of this country's population are without water that is good enough to just open a tap and drink. What are you doing about it, and how? Because like the Honourable member said, this question was asked last year, and it was asked probably years before, and the answer still remains the same. What are we doing to give people water, which is a basic necessity in life?
Yeah. Honourable Speaker, I think this is what I'm telling you. These are actually issues that we are addressing. It's a basic necessity, and we have projects. It's what amount of resources. Okay? Currently, the project is going on, and we are building more boreholes. We are improving the water storage facilities. Water treatment plants are being built. So that's the only way we can solve. And secondly, 80% of the country, yes, NAWEC is not, my minister is not responsible for supplying water to the whole country. There are two water supply systems. You have the commercial aspect, which is NAWEC, and you also have another water supply, rural water supply, which is another ministry. So that is the difference. So some part of the other part of the community that's not having water should come from rural water supply system. Our system is within the Greater Bengal and the growth centers. So that's why we are improving. The GBA is the major problem, and that's why the projects are ongoing now in GBA to supply water systems. Yes, the problem is there, it's historic, and definitely this question will be asked more and more and more until we get there. Definitely, because if I tell you today, tomorrow we're going to solve the problem, I'm not telling you the right thing. We don't have all the resources, but we are implementing the project. It's going on, it's ongoing. And it's the only way to solve permanent solution is projects are on, and we continue to get more funds, we could look for more funds and continue water project in the country. Because it is not, understand also that the population is also increasing. Right now, some areas which were not populated, now they are populated. So water demand is increasing more and more.
Thank you. Lowa Nyomi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The access to water supply could be affected by two factors, as been seen in our settlements. One is the type of pipes that are used to conduct the water from where it might be coming from to the supply areas. The other thing is the depth of the pipe. What is the recommended depth that the installation would have for the safe supply of water to the beneficiaries? Because a lot of water is wasted. I'm sure if the pipe is good, well placed, it would satisfy the essential need of conducting the water to the beneficiary.
Madam Speaker, the Honourable Member's question is very technical and engineering, but because it has to do with pipe integrity, okay, the quality of the pipe. Normally what we do, if NAWEC gets the pipe, they go through a test before the pipe is purchased. But sometimes also, in some areas also, people extend, not going through with NAWEC recommendation. They buy their own pipes and extend. That happens a lot. Okay, and if you come to the depth of the pipe, you see, it has to do with pressure. So the engineers know how to work it out to get the pressure. If the pressure is good enough, sometimes, well, of course, there is some balance in the depths and the topography, whatever, plays a part in the pressure. But that's purely very, very technical and engineering. Maybe that one we need to do, both of us to learn more about that. But then it's a matter of pressure, getting the pressure to be able to go enough to be able to go through. So the depth may matter, but then sometimes also I think more of how to get the pressure from the supply end to the pipe to the demand end. So but then pipe integrity is something that I know NAWEC does. They do the test for the pipes or materials. But also some materials are not of standard, especially when communities do it themselves. And sometimes also NAWEC inherits some projects when already the pipe has been laid. And some pipes also have been there. Some of the pipes I know have been laid down since 1968. That's why the current project is moving, changing some of the pipes. And some pipes were asbestos pipes, so all those have to be changed. So the pipe, some of the pipes actually outlived their life. So that is what the whole project is going on. That the whole network system has to be improved, not total overhaul, but to be improved.
Thank you. Willie East.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, pending the permanent solution, the NAVEC had a temporary solution during this COVID crisis, and that is to put COVID tanks in certain localities where, which are, in the midst of communities that already have water, but that particular area may not have water. So we thought that that process would have continued, but all of a sudden, a community like Farato Medina, which has been suffering for a long time for that purpose, did not have that COVID tank. What happened to that particular initiative of creating these COVID tanks to serve those particular areas? Thank you.
Honourable Speaker, the community tanks were supplied in some areas where we have problems with water. And right now, I'm speaking to you, some of those areas already have started getting water. So that's why the community tanks have been stopped. But now, we know of an area that used to have tanks and the tanks are not available now, and they don't have water, I think that's one we can consider. But this is news to me, as you are speaking to me now, and far to end, But then there's something that you can take up. I can talk up with NAVEC, or water manager with me here. But definitely there are areas where we had the water tank due to COVID, and then because now water is coming into those places, so we have to stop that tank because water is flowing now. They may have pressure problems here and there, but then at least before there was no water totally. That's why they were giving the tanks.
Thank you. Honourable Member for Serekunda.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. The questioner was referring to an erratic supply of water, and the Minister was asked the question of ensuring that there is a permanent solution. The Minister elucidated that we have 81 megawatts now in the Greater Banjul area, which should be sufficient to meet what was originally the supply. But he has not mentioned what is required in terms of water to be able to meet the demand. Is there any reason why he has not done that? Do we need to ask another question? And would he also explain very clearly whether the KM area, especially the London area, the Mosque Road area, is actually covered in the project that he has mentioned?
Okay, I think I mentioned about the supply-demand relationship in the electricity and not the water. Okay, right now the supply-demand gap for water is 40%, estimated at 40%. Okay, so now this project we are implementing now, and the 16 million product we are making now, we are going to close the gap by 25%. So we still need more resources to reach that. But as I'm saying, I'm speaking also now, as we are speaking, every day, population is increasing. Every day new settlements are coming up. So the demand-supply balance will still be there, but we are trying to close the gap. That's linked to the permanent solution. So the area that you're talking about, I think they are not covered under this particular project. I may be right. They are not covered now. As I'm speaking to you, they have water, they are getting water supply now. So the area we're talking about, the manager is confirmed to me that they are having water supply. So they are covered in the project. Because the project is from right now what's happening, is supply water supply to Fajara tank, Susukura, and the other tanks around the same area. So they are not getting some water supply from this project. So they are covered.
We can take one more question. If any honourable member wishes to ask a supplementary question. Otherwise, we'll proceed. Okay, thank you then. Can we proceed? No, sorry. Question number 208 of 2020 by the honourable member for Jimara constituency. He's absent, but I think he has authorized Nyamina East to read his question. Thank you. Question number 208. page 5, probably, or 4 of your record.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, can the Honourable Minister for Petroleum and Energy inform this August Assembly if his ministry has any plan to provide electricity to the rest of the communities within Jimara that are without electricity? Thank you.
Honourable Speaker, there are concrete plans to electrify Jimara under the World Bank Distribution Backbone Project for rural areas. Already, most of the communities in Jimara have been surveyed, and the tender for the works are expected to be launched in the first quarter of 2021.
For Basse.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jimara is the entry point of URR. What affects Jimara affect the entire URR. Do you want to tell us the plan for Jimara? Is this the plan for URR?
Honourable Speaker, our plans are for the country, and the expansion project is for CRR, URR. So unfortunately, it's got to a Jimara constituency, but definitely our program does not stop at what constituency. So when we, like for example, the 16 million I talk about covers NBR, part of CRR, and West Coast region. So any project we have for that half of the country also covers the country, CRR, URR, not only one constituency. So it's an overall plan for the area.
Thank you.
Honourable Speaker, could the Honourable Minister indicate the components of the on-grid, off-grid demarcation in the provision of electricity to this particular area? And what do we know about the renewable energy component of any plan to provide electricity for this particular area and by extension all the areas?
Honourable Speaker, we have, unfortunately I don't have that with me, we have the survey and the communities that we have already identified for on-grid. But off-grid normally are for areas which may not have access to the grid. For example, for Jimara, and I don't know which area will be off-grid, but there are some areas which are definitely difficult to access. Like for example, in Nyomi, Jinak, where I have this island, those areas definitely cannot be covered by grid, now they have to be off-grid. And some parts of Sierra also already, I think there are 10 villages that are already, but that's only the ministry, not NAWEC, that are identified for off-grid, you know. So that, but I don't have the names of the communities with me here, but then definitely that's the area. If it's too far away and we cannot reach on grid, we're thinking of having off-grid road areas, you know. So that's the whole plan. But the grid connection is right now is a priority to cover the country, because the country is not very bad in terrain-wise. So you can, if you have the resources, you can definitely be on grid. But even with grid, still renewable energy will play its part, because we have the 20 megawatt solar that's coming at Jambur, and we also plan to have solar plant for Basse and also for Farafenye to add up to the capacity. So whether you have grid or not, they are off grid. They are renewable energy for grid connections, and they are run for off grid connection. That is, you have rooftop or mini grid programs. We are planning that one. But then also we have this plan for the schools and hospitals. So whether you are on grid or not, you know, you can have that renewable energy for general purposes.
Nominated member Seka.
Thank you very much, Ma. Ma, could the Honourable Minister tell us, you know that we have issues in water and electricity, and some of us are talking about our constituencies, and we have seen the problems that we were having. Are we doing any feasible studies to make sure that what is happening now, with all your plans that you are doing, will not happen again in the next generation? Thank you.
Okay, it's not a matter of feasibility story. It's not about a story. It's a matter of practicality. What happened before is because of the erratic supply of electricity, which due to two main reasons. One is low generation capacity. If the demand is 70 and you can only produce 45, definitely you have to have load shedding. But if the capacity is high and you have the reserves, then that means that generators are working 24 hours. Now the supply problem we have is the infrastructure, the power lines. And that, some that have a problem. There are many factors due to that one. Okay, some are old, but some are also due to accidents. Here and there you see some people with fire, and then you have problem with the power lines. So these are one. So actually, what I'm saying, if you allow me to say, the permanent solution is what we are on now, increasing the capacity. Okay, while extending the demand, the suppressed demand is increasing, we are also increasing the capacity. So the problem that has happened before was due to that. Electric supply. One is low capacity, which we have improved on. So right now, Kotu and Bilkama are running 24 hours, 24/7. But then once in a while, land will go off. It can go off here. That will be a problem. So if that's a problem on the line, some of the, like Kappa will be triple because they're very sensitive. So that can reduce. So at that place, that's why it takes some water. Now 1 hour, 30 minutes, it will come back on. The moment there is power off, they find to find out why the problem, they solve it. So that's what we are on now. So still now, definitely we're going to experience, once in a while, we'll have a problem because our system is not that robust. But that's why we are improving on that.
Member for Bakau.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honourable Minister, if I heard you right, you've indicated that first quarter of 2021, the project will be launched or it will be tendered. And we are almost done with the first quarter of 2021. How soon will the project be done? Will be.
Honourable Speaker, this question was raised in December. Right now, as I'm speaking to you now, tenders have been launched. And in fact, some tender evaluations have been done. And very soon you'll hear contracts have been signed. So definitely the tenders have been launched.
Is.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Minister. Yeah, well, to increase the off-grid. We thought that more communities will be benefiting from that. That's why we did that. So my question is, have you mapped out the communities that are going to benefit from the off-grid based on the budget this year? Thank you.
I think even before the budget, there was some kind of mapping before. And we've mapped virtually the whole country. You know, and that is continue on. It depends on the project. Right now, if it is for Navi, for example.
You are watching Seating of the National Assembly live from the capital Banjul, where the Gambia's Minister of Petroleum and Energy is answering questions from the lawmakers. We will take a short break to bring you headlines making news in our studios.
The budget for that, yes. So the other.
Hello, you are watching iAfrica TV, and I am Mamjara C with the headlines this hour. Over 250 Senegalese migrants have fled to Batakunku village over the Sanyang violent protest, according to the Red Cross Society. The Red Cross said it has distributed blankets and hygiene products to the displaced population. Sanyang grabbed national attention on Monday when angry mobs shocked by the death of a native of the village burnt down Sanyang police station and a fish meal factory and stalls built on Sanyang beach. Latest contingent of the Gambia Armed Forces to the troubled Sudanese region of Darfur has returned home on Tuesday after their peacekeeping mission was cut short. The Gamkoi Batch 23 left Banjul in September for a 2-year military operation under United Nations coordination. The contingent, which was consisted of 132 men, was under the commandment of Lieutenant Colonel Ibrahim Kurubali. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic fueling gender inequalities and increase in cases of violence against women, response programs remain severely underfunded, UN says. To address the status of women during the pandemic, UN held its 65th session to look into the challenges women face.
What you need is not more training for women, but to train those in power on how to build inclusive institutions. We need to move beyond fixing women and instead fix our systems. We must also support women leaders in all their diversity and abilities, including young women, migrant women, indigenous women, women on disabilities, women of color, and LGBTIQ+. Pandemic recovery is our chance to engineer a reset, reignite the decade of action for the Sustainable Development Goals, and chart a path to an equal future for women and men.
Medical justifications have showed that skin bleaching can cause numerous health complications, including cancer and permanent eye damages. In the Gambia, the National Assembly have been busy to repeal an act which forbids skin bleaching in the country. The bill, enacted under the influence of former President Yahya Jammeh, also prohibits the importation of products that could be used for bleaching. The bill may, however, face setbacks as lawmakers are having different views on repealing it. The status of women is the status of democracy, were some of the words of U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris as she addresses the 65th session of the UN Commission on Status of Women. Vice President Harris, who participated via a video link, said U.S. is committed to upholding the democratic values embedded in the Universal Declaration on Human Rights.
Eleanor Roosevelt, who shaped the Universal Declaration on Human Rights, once said, "Without equality, there can be no democracy." In other words, the status of women is the status of democracy. For our part, the United States will work to improve both. We are committed to upholding the democratic values embedded in the Declaration, and we firmly believe that when we work together globally, we can achieve the vision within it.
As several countries, mostly in Europe, suspended the use of AstraZeneca vaccine, have reports of blood clots in people who have received it. In response, WHO chief said the accusations on the vaccine does not necessarily mean the events are linked to vaccination, rather a routine practice to investigate them. You are up to date, and those are the headlines. More on these and other stories, log on to our website, iafrica.tv. We will now link you back to the National Assembly for continuations of sittings happening now. I am Mam Jarasi.
You know, the license, when they sign a license, there's a financial obligation that they have to pay. Part of it was supposed to support the ministry in terms of their staff being trained in other areas in exploration. Have those areas been fulfilled?
Yes, I mean, for financial obligations, that have been met at the right times. Normally, in fact, the companies will definitely, part of their reputation, to make sure they meet their obligations to the state. So that those answers have been met. So that those answers have been met.
And you make a cost, you attach a cost to the...
What was your question? Can you repeat your question then?
Did I hear you say that you had tendered and that some companies applied for the bids to make exploration? How much money so far have you gotten from that bid?
Okay, in the tendering process, there's nothing like money attached to companies. You are attacking investors to come in. You have your area, you demarcate it, and you have some information that you want to, you tend to open it to the world, that you have these prospects here, I have this block area, and you want companies to come and invest. So it is when in the license that payments are done, like for example, signature bonuses and other things that come in. But in the process, you are the one who wanted companies to come in. When you have your area, you want companies to invest because you don't want companies to put in money there. So that's the thing.
Thank you, Banjul South, and then Serakunda. Jara West. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Honourable Minister, you've said that the terms and conditions have been fulfilled thus far. Can you provide this August Assembly as to the level that they are at? Because we are inexperienced, of course, in oil and gas. And because of our inexperience, we might be underproductive. So I think as a National Assembly, and as an Assembly, we have special matter, subject matter specialists who might be more au fait in oil and gas. We would want your ministry to be giving us reports regularly as to implementation and to fulfillment of those terms and conditions.
Honourable Speaker, I think if I understand the question well, he wanted to have CAFCOM update to the National Assembly of the implementation of the licenses. Okay, if that's so required, I think we can be written to, and then you can be given those kind of reports. But notwithstanding, we are also developing a website where these updates will be up there to the public. But we can, I think, if it is right, we can do that. We can write to us and we can give you updates.
What I mean specifically, like for example, every quarter, I think he's not
Honourable
answering my
Member,
question.
please, if you want to ask a supplementary, a further question, you need to ask.
He's not understood. He did not understand my question. Because
Matter of procedure.
that is public knowledge, what you put. But what we're asking are specifics so that we can use that to do our oversight functions over the resources that we have in this country. Because we all know what oil and gas can lead to. And we are, like I said, inexperienced. So we need specific details. For example, you've just broken down some of the terms.
Okay.
So we need them specifically sent to the National Assembly so that we can use that to scrutinize exactly how our resources are being used and what benefits and what losses we might incur or gain. Thank you.
Okay, Honourable Speaker, I think that one we need more interaction because it depends on the specific we are talking about. You have to give all the specifics, but at the same time, if there is always a select committee on that, so that can interact and get information, and we can also give the feedback report at any time you want to. But then when you call the specifics now, you have to know which specifics, because oil and gas is a very wide area. So what specific area you talk about? But when we interact, you understand better, we can give you more information.
Honourable Member and Honourable Minister, I think the relevant committee can always engage the ministry on any further information that they need, and it will be shared amongst honourable members for every one of us to know what is actually happening in terms of the details. Then may I call on Serekunda?
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. The Honourable Minister has explained the process of exploration, development, and actual production. He needs to further elucidate the exploration process. Does it stop with the drilling and then discovering that something is there before development and production? And could we safely say that the oil industry in the Gambia is still at the exploration stage and drilling has not in fact taken place to be able to say what we actually have regarding oil?
Okay. Yes, I have mentioned about the different stages. One is exploration, development, and production. We are at the exploration stage. And exploration includes getting information, data, and then analyzing it to see whether there are prospects to drill. That's basically what it's meant for. Then you drill. When you drill, you discover. One well you discover, then you do what you call appraisals. You try to know the actual volume of oil that you think will be there. Then you, after appraisals, you develop. You know, you put in your system to develop, and then you produce from the development. So we are at the stage of exploration, and drilling is part of exploration. You know, so we have drilled one well offshore, which is a dry well. You know, so drilling is part of exploration. So you are right. We are at the stage of exploration. We are only going to do development. After discovery and appraisal, we go to development stage.
Jara West.
Thank you.
Yes, I had you on my...
Yeah, Honourable Speaker. I just want to ask the Honourable Minister if, like, also, there are some expectations that you may need from the government. Example, landing site, those requirements that might be needed from the government. Did you meet those requirements? Did you get them?
We have not reached that stage of designing to landing site because it depends on whether we need it or not. What happens offshore sometimes is that you drill, produce, and the product goes to the market. If you are pipeline to the site of landing, while you need storage at the landing site, for whatever purpose, then you require that landing site. But that has the time. This also area we are talking about is about 80 kilometers, 100 kilometers off the coastline. So that may be feasible to pipe all the way to the site. But if the exploration is near shore or is onshore, then you have to get that land property, landing site issues. But notwithstanding, while they are still exploring, there are shore-based activities. While you have pipelines, whatever, that one is also a private entity. Then you have to get a land area for that purposes. So when that happens, the people interested, company interested, will have to get land. We'll assist them to get the land for that particular purpose.
We can take a further question. Yawuli East, sir.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, there is a follow-up question. When you are issuing these licenses, you are saying exploration is including drilling. So do you give these companies, do you sign with them up to production? Or do you do it stage by stage? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, normally, the license is for a period of 25, 30 years, including both, from exploration all the way to production. Okay? But then they are being staggered into exploration phase, this phase, and that phase. And if the exploration phase divided into periods, those are the period for maybe exploration phase, the first phase can be 2 years, where you have to drill a well. The second phase can be 2 or 3 years, whatever, and you have 3 more wells. You see. So this is how it is divided into. But the license is for that period of time. Yes. But divided into periods. And at any time, if there are issues, the license can be terminated or it can be surrendered, anything can happen.
Exhausted the supplementary questions. So we proceed to the next question, which is 210 of 2020 by the Honourable Member for Sabasanya. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, at the power generation sector of NAWEC, the staff are only involved in projects upon completion, when some of these critical tests are to be conducted. That is, verification tests, pre-commissioning tests, functional and endurance tests, or rehabilitation tests, performance tests taking over, and final acceptance test. Can the Honourable Minister for Energy inform this August Assembly why the staff are not involved at the initial inception of these projects?
Honourable Speaker, due to the nature of the daily operations at the power stations in terms of intensity of the daily maintenance activities, the administrative aspect of the projects are normally assigned to our planning and project management unit that implements projects and hand over to the beneficiary departments. The relevant NAWEC staff are engaged through this process based on their expertise. Furthermore, the technical staff of beneficiary departments also participate, but in certain activities and at certain intervals. For example, witness of factory acceptance tests for all major equipment, factory training, SAT training, installation works, pre-commissioning and commissioning, and all the required tests, among others. Madam Speaker, we need to understand that these kinds of projects are time-bound and involving too many staff in each administration would solely affect progress.
Sanjal, any supplementary?
Yes.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, Honourable Minister, let me just a brief background of why I asked this question, because some time back we have a lot of breakdowns at the power generation, and always when we experience this, the expert to build this system up again is a problem. They have to hire people outside, or those people who build the system. So that is why I believe that the staffs are not involved. That's why when it has a problem, you must go outside and source it to fix it, which is very expensive. So that is the main reason why I asked this question. Now, can you train your staff to at least to have some experts? When such situation happen, it can be domestically addressed.
Honourable Speaker, if the staff are not trained, they will not be able to manage the equipment that we have now. Right now, all machines are operating, and it's the staff, engineers that are servicing them. What happens is the project comes in new, is installed, there's always a period of insurance. So when problems happen that time, the people will come and fix it. But definitely when the plant is being fixed, the staff involved, the engineers involved are part of that process. You see. So, but the training, of course, they have engineers, and definitely they have very good engineers on the ground, technicians on the ground, who have managed. Imagine some of the equipment, the engines that we have now, some have been installed all the way in the 70s, and they are still managing them. So definitely, if they are not well trained and experienced, they will be able to manage the equipment. I was told by the German expert when they came, Siemens, they told me that you have to tap the back of your staff and have engineers on the back. Because the equipment, the engineers they are running now, those engineers from the spare parts are not even available on the shelf. So to be able to manage it up to this time around, running in up to today we have electricity because of engineers. So what I'm talking about here is the like what we are doing now, licensing or doing tendering, whatever. Not everybody is part of that, can be part of that one. But when you come to actual installations, people in that area will have to be involved. That's why they will take it up after, because the experts cannot stay. But some critical issues that come, we have to bring experts. Those who actually manufacture the engine, we have to come in and help. But that's all these, the people are always there to be able to run the engine. That's why they are running it up to now.
Angel, you have any further questions? Serekunda, please.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. The Honourable Member is concerned with linking the machines with training. Is there a standing policy that in purchasing any machine that the requisite training will be linked to the actual purchasing, and ensuring that the person or persons who are to be trained would actually be linked to the company providing the machine for proper orientation?
Okay, I think that's very clear. The linkage of purchase and training. Normally, most of the projects, you have a training component of it. You come in, you do it, the people are attached to you to be trained, you know. But actually, with the written policy document, I'm not too sure. And my engineers are here. They say this is part of the company. Okay, now, because I'm not involved in that level. But then I'm being informed that there is every purchase, every incoming, there's a training component that people have to be trained. So that particular document of agreement, that training component is available in all our activities. Pardon? Okay, in the process, it's part of it. Even during the process, the part of the training program have to be. So
any further questions? Honourable nominated member, Yasin.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, in the minister's answer, he was saying that this German told him that those machines should, the experts should be tapped on the back. But they know that these machines, the parts are not available. Then why did you purchase those? Is it that you don't have the experts necessary to tell us those machines which are sustainable or not?
Honourable Speaker, what I'm saying is that the machines that have been installed in 1975, for example, so definitely sometimes you don't have just like some cars, you don't have the spare parts like that. You see? So what I'm saying is that to be able to run them, sometimes if you need the parts, you have to order them. It takes some time, 3 months or so. So, but the machines were already purchased long time, not in our time. So that's what I'm talking about. You see? So that's why we are now bringing new engines, and we're just launching them. We are adding a capacity through new engines and new other systems are coming. But the parts I'm talking about, that's why the ones were installed for a long time, and they are still there. But then, of course, these are almost outdated engines, but they are running, and they have to get the spare parts. That's why the spare parts have come take some time. You don't buy them on the shelf.
Any further questions? So we can now move to question number 211 by the Honourable Member for Janjambure. I was told that he gave authority to Honourable Silla to read on his behalf. Honourable Silla.
Thank you very much. Honourable Speaker, Janjambure, the regional capital of Central River Region, used to have its own electric power generating since from the 1960s up to 1997. When the system was removed and taken to Canning Line, from them until now, the population of Janjambure ceased to have a constant and reliable power supply, can the Honourable Minister for Energy inform this August Assembly as to when Janjambure generator system will be returned or replaced?
Honourable Speaker, until the completion of the rural electrification project in 2007, Janjambure used to be one of the 6 power stations operating in rural Gambia on high speed and less efficient diesel generators. However, after the completion of the project, the town of Janjambure started getting electricity from Bansang. But recently, the entire subsystem of CRR is getting their power supply from Basse. The reason being that the generators in Basse are operating on heavy fuel oil, which is more efficient and commercially viable than operating on small light fuel engines as before. In order to further improve the electricity supply situation for both CRR and URR, NAWIC is making arrangements to double the generating capacity in Basse to ensure 24-hour operations for the first time in the history of the country, of the region.
Honourable, any supplementary? Okay. Yeah, okay. Any further supplementary question to question number 211? Honourable member for Lower Salon.
Yeah, I just want to observe the Honourable member, not the entire CR, because we have Senelect, which is also covering our end. Thank you.
Member for Ilyasa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. I would like to remind the minister, I don't know whether he has already understand the question or not. He said that can Honourable Minister of Energy inform this August Assembly as when the Janjambure general system will be returned or replaced? That's the question.
Okay. Honourable Speaker, in my answer, I'm telling you why they agree to the source now, and the reason why that particular generator was removed from Janjambure. So definitely, there's no plan to restore that efficient license in Janjambure. We are increasing capacity, and now power system supply is in the way. You don't have to have small pockets of generators. It doesn't make sense, and it's not effective at all. So definitely, we have problems. Even in Gerebanjule, we have problems with supply. So now we're getting problem from Basse, and that there is also, if you get all the connections ready, you can get supply from anywhere. You know, from Conakry, for hydropower, from solar, and you can supply to any part of the country. So it is better to have power station in area that can supply bigger region and is more efficiently run through heavy fuel and gas or other things, so keep a supply of electricity than having small pockets. Before you have one in SAU, Kerewan, Farafenye, you have one, I think Matsakonko has its own, Janjambure, Kawur also. So I mean, it's quite expensive. That it comes in. That's why you have they always have 3 hours, 4 hours electricity. So it's not effective. So there's no way we are going to replace the Janjambure one.
Honourable, you are only entitled to one supplementary question. Honourable member for Serekunda.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Is the Minister therefore telling us that there is a more efficient way and reliable way of guaranteeing power supply to Janjambure, and that is being provided? Is that what the Minister is saying?
Exactly so. Because if you look at the power supply system from Basse, it was like to Janjambure, it was like 9 hours, now about 19 hours, unless there are problems. 19 hours. So Janjambure is having more electricity now than before. So that engine, that small engine in Janjambure is only to supply Janjambure, but it's not efficient. It's very expensive to run. So now we are having more supply to Janjambure and more effective than it used to be. Small pockets of power generation. Essentially, you are right. That is definitely the strategy, and that's what we are working on. And definitely, they have more electricity now than before. I wish the member is here. They had problems. When you ask the question, there were problems. There was erratic supply at that time. Last year, especially during the Ramadan, there was one of the engines went down. So there was a maintenance problem going on. So that's why he asked the question. But today is different. So also, I have problems here and there, definitely.
Any further questions? Honourable Member for Bondali, please.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Can the Honourable Minister inform this august body that what was the reason for them to remove a generator from Janjambure and taking it to Kanilai?
Honourable Speaker, I will not know the reason for that, but I think that because already there is enough capacity in Basse that can supply to some part of Anjabur, but also more importantly, now the gap between Basse and Janjambur, and there was a gap there, so now it has been completed. There is a power line from Basse to Janjambur directly, so you can supply from Basse, or if you have power station in Janjambur, you can supply to Basse. But before there is a gap, so there is no way also that you could actually supply power from Basse to Bansang. In between there's a gap, there's no power line in between. But now that's been completed. So now you can supply from Basse, you can supply anywhere. And Bansang, that's why even Bansang power, we stop, we are getting everything from Basse. So that could be the reason why they have to move it, because already now there's a linkage.
For the Honourable?
Yes, here just to clear this thing, because the question is it was being removed around 1997 and the present generator is just in 2000. So why Honourable Madam Kamal is asking why it has been removed and taken to Kanilai? Because this thing is it was since 1997.
Okay. As I said, I was not there in 1997 when it was happening. But then what I think may have happened, because Bansang could supply Janjambure. So if that's the case, there's no need to get Bansang, Janjambure, If there is no link between Bansang and Janjambure is deprived completely of electricity, then taking it from Janjambure to Kanilai doesn't make any sense. Okay? But then if there was, at that time, a supply can come from Bansang, and Bansang has enough capacity for Janjambure, then it's better to run one than two engines. But I don't actually know what happened at that time. Yes.
Questions? So we now move to question 212.
Honourable Speaker, in Janjambure nowadays, it has become a norm that when the electricity goes off, what happened is there often, which happen most often than not. They don't get drinking water from the river. They have to get drinking water from the river. They don't have supply when the electricity goes off, which is very unsafe and unhealthy. Can the Honourable Minister for Energy inform the August Assembly as to how soon his ministry intends to provide a reliable power generating set that can pump water when the electricity goes off?
Honourable Speaker, NAWEC operates only 19 hours daily in CRR and URR, and therefore in the absence of a standby generator, water production at the boreholes also stops. NAWEC is aware of the situation and are working frantic efforts to increase the generation capacity in Basse to ensure 24 hours operations for both regions. In the short term, NAWEC is making arrangements to produce a standby generator as replacement for the faulty one.
Honourable Member for Nyani, supplementary.
Yes. Do you have any plan to to have a standby generator at Janjambule. In the event there is no electricity, that generator can able to pump the water.
Well, Honourable Speaker, I think our target is to have electricity in Janjambure 24/7. And right now, when this question was posed, yes, there was that problem. Right now, I don't have that much problem. I've been hearing, but normally, if there's any problem, the honourable member calls or the governor calls to have their problems. So that time they had problems, but right now they could be, I haven't had anything. But then standby generators will be provided if the situation continues. But standby generators also are not easy to run. But that is only if the main supply system is having problems. Right now also we have similar problems here. Some of the boreholes will have standby generators. But if the power supply is continuous for a number of hours, then it's not a problem. But then the plan to have standby generator, NAVIC will always consider that. And if it's not provided for, we can look at the strategy to see whether it's necessary or not.
Do you have a further question? No? Okay, we can take additional supplementary. Woolly East.
Thank you, Honourable. My question is the standby generator. Is it meant that you are planning to bring there? Is it meant for pumping the water or supplying the town with electricity in case of there is a blackout? What will be the particular use of that?
I think the standby generator, the Honourable Speaker, I think the standby generator the Honourable member was asking for is for the borehole, for pumping water. Not for the overall, because the overall is getting to from Basi, but because there are erratic problems. Normally when power goes off, and the borehole also will go off, and if there's not enough storage, sometimes the supply, before even get the pressure, it takes some time. So people have water shortage for some time. If power goes off 3 hours, it can take you more than 3-4 hours or 5 hours before the pressure comes up again. So that's why I think about, so that if there's another generator there, if power goes off, that generator can still continue pumping water. So that you have 24-hour pumping of water. That's just the concern. Yes.
Thank you very much. My concern is, we all know that Amte is a boarding school. So you identify yourself within the Janjambure. Do they have any standby generator for the school?
Honourable Speaker, we don't provide standby generators for schools. We provide electricity to schools when we are on grid, but we have a plan for have a power supply off grid that we have support to all the schools and hospitals in the country. That project is under the Ministry of, we are facilitating this under the Ministry of Basic Education and also health. But it is not the responsibility of ministry or NAVIC to give standby generator to schools.
Honourable Member for Nyani to read his question on his behalf.
Yes. Honourable Speaker, can the Honourable Minister for Energy inform this August Assembly if he is aware that NAREC provides electricity supply on daily basis on daily basis, including at different times or moments to the so-called red line. Customers at Janjambure, a group responsible representing has been 10% of their total customers in town. If yes, who created that red line group and for what purpose? And for what reason?
Honourable Speaker, I have consulted with NAVEC and they are not aware of any red line group in Janjambure as claimed. But in instances where the available capacity is less than the demand, health facilities, security installations, and water facilities are given priority in terms of supply. However, with the ongoing efforts, such claims will soon become history.
Supplementary questions, Nyani, for Janjambure? No. Then I will allow other honourable members in case they have any supplementary. Honourable members? Yes, Sarakunda.
Honourable Speaker, would the Honourable Minister undertake to investigate more into this red line issue to find out whether it actually exists?
Well, yes, I could do that definitely, because when I consulted about red line, I don't know what red line is. You know, say the red line, I mean, maybe they would think that they are prepared to give some people and not some people. But electricity is not supplied that way, you know. If you are along the particular, for example, on a particular line, whether you are a minister or whatever, if that line goes off, it affects you. So you cannot pick one spot unless a special line is run to that place, which is very unlikely. You have to be within other communities. So that's why you can have, for example, if power doesn't come to Banjul here, State House doesn't have light. So even though that's why they have standby generators. So it doesn't give any priority to anybody. But then the rail, one thing you know, if at all there are the health facilities and installations, prisons and things like that, definitely they will give priority to them if there's less supply. There must be a special way of doing that. Okay. But apart from that, for individuals, definitely I don't think there is that kind of thing. But they'll still investigate that if there's possibility. But definitely it's not happened that way. It's not happened. You know.
Thank you. Nominated member, J2.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. My question is, when you realize you don't know what the red light means, did you make any effort? I said, when you realize you do not know what the red line means, did you make any effort to reach out to the honourable member that posed the question to direct you exactly where these places are so you could do proper investigations?
Honourable Speaker, I found out from what red line, whether they have that kind of facility. Because what I understand from red line, even without questioning the member, is like giving priority to others. That is what my understanding, and that is basically what we mean by red line. But to me, and what they explain, that's what in my answer, what they explain that they give to institutions of security, nature, of education, whatever, you know, that if that's the red line, do that. If right now, hospitals, you know, and so other facilities are given that kind of priority. Okay, but then red line that way. I didn't speak to the honourable member, but this was posed after we spoke many times, you know. But he never mentioned this to me that is a problem. That was actually this question was asked. That was a particular problem in Janjambure. That's why he asked all these questions. But right now we speak. Even now and then, if there's any problem in Janjambure, he calls me directly to inform me that this is the situation going on in Janjambure. So when you come to red line, that's what I say, I don't know what it is. I posed the question to NAVEC, and then they said they don't also understand what red line means. So it's a terminology that was used by the, I don't know whether it's a standard terminology, but it was used by the honourable member. That's why I wish he was himself here. But definitely that is my understanding of it. But as you, I did not ask him what is red line or what does it mean. But my understanding of it is that, because this is the general complaint, you have electricity, some places are having it and other places are not having it. You can be next door to a person, that person may have electricity, and you don't have it, because you are not on the same line. The feeders are different. So if you are on the feeder 4, and your next neighbor is on the feeder 5, if there's a problem, you can see the person who has electricity, you don't have electricity. So you may think that it's a priority. It's happened. My house has solar before I moved. So when they are off the switch light in my house, they say, Minister is giving priority. Do you know that it's a solar that I have? So these things can happen. But then I'm always in touch with the MP. He always calls me and I phone. Even 2 weeks ago he called when there was a problem in Janjambure electricity.
List.
Yes, I just want to make that clarity. There was a problem in previous years, so in such issues. So, but the red light, what he is saying is, your neighbor will always have 24 hours light. Even the other lines has gone, he will still maintain. So that was the query and the concern he has, and we all have it even at our villages also. Yes, so
that is very important.
Yes.
If you
this is not in the hospital, neither the police.
I can give you an example. If you are maybe around maybe Georgetown or you are a Boko area, and there's a line that goes to the airport must have 24 hours. So areas around that area may have 24 hours, while others may go off in terms of load setting. So because of where you are located and where your house is. So if airports are given that priority. So if the hospital also, they give priority. So it may fall on that. I hope I'm right, my engineers are here. So if you are along the same line with the hospital, and hospital will not go off, so you may have electricity 24 hours. Your next neighbor may not have, depending on where they are. Yes, that's always a problem. Well, that creates the issue of concern for people.
Yes, any more honorable members? No? Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, thank you very much for the answers to the questions posed by honorable members. Equally thank the honorable members for their contributions. Can we then proceed? Clerk.
Questions for oral answers by the Honourable Minister for Works, Transport and Infrastructure.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Questions for which due notices were given to the Honourable Minister for Transport, Works and Infrastructure by the Honourable members for oral reply. Question number 178 of 2020 by the Honourable Member for Busumbala, who has authorized the Honourable Member for Sane Mentereng to read his questions. Honourable, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honourable Speaker, there was a memorandum of understanding, MOU, signed between the government of the Gambia and China, Road and Bridge Corporation, CRBC, in December 2013 for the feasibility study and construction of Banjul Bara Bridge. The construction of the project is of crucial significance for the social and economic development of the Gambia, as it will not only connect people on the north and south bank of the country, but also promote overall economic integration of West Africa. Can the Honourable Minister for Transport, Works and Infrastructure inform this August Assembly about the plans of this government to construct the bridge? Thank you.
Madam Speaker, may I agree with the Honourable Member for Busumbala constituency that indeed CRBC, a state enterprise of the People's Republic of China did conduct a feasibility study of the project in 2013, which was updated in 2016. With the coming of the new government in 2017, this study was reviewed by the Ministry of Transport, Works and Infrastructure and incorporated into its portfolio of possible projects. The primary feature or features of the proposed bridge are that it will be about 8 kilometers long and will cost between 700 to $1 billion to construct. It was therefore determined from the onset that the only feasible approach open to government was to solicit a partnership through Build, Operate and Transfer (BOT) arrangement with a consortium of financiers. This solicitation process has been ongoing since 2017, and we received a number of proposals from various parties. Ambric was one, CRBC, which is a China company, Eiffage, a French company, Ariski, Senegalese, Sino-Hydro, Chinese, Teledata, I don't know their nationality, and recently from a Bin Laden group through Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs. The process is on a slow pace because of the magnitude of the project, also the debt status of the country, or debt to GDP status of the country, and the slowed investment climate as a result of the prevailing pandemic. But it's ongoing.
Thank you very much. Any supplementary? Any supplementary? No. Any supplementary questions from honorable members? Thank you. Then we proceed. Do I take it? Then we proceed to the next. Thank you. Then question number 179 of 2020 by the honorable member for Kiang Central. Honorable.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker and the Honorable Minister for Transport, Works and Infrastructure informed this August Assembly whether there are plans to extend the Banjul port in order to accommodate more ships, as well as this will enhance the revenue collection as well as employment creation in the country.
Honorable Speaker, in July 2019, the government of the Gambia approved the Banjul Port Master Plan 2019 to 2038 and the 5-year strategic business plan 2019-2023, prepared by the Royal Haskoning Consulting of the Netherlands. The primary recommendation of the master plan is for immediate investment in infrastructure to cater for an increased demand posed on the port facilities. The plan calls for 1, jetty extension to increase ships' berthing capacity, 2, acquisition of residential properties within the contiguous zone of the Port of Banjul for the expansion of the container storage terminals. 3rd, implementation of port digitalization. 5, dredging in the access channel to Banjul and harbor areas to create deeper route for vessels. And 5, construction of inland terminals as logistic platforms, among other things. The urgent need for the port expansion is due primarily to the limited berthing capacity, which is inadequate to cope with the demand, leading to congestion surcharges levied by shipping lines at 200 per TEU, which is a 20-foot container unit, which translates to about $12 million added cost to the economy annually, with minimum import volumes of 60,000 TEUs per year. The capacity constraint is increasingly undermining the efficiency of the port and its resultant negative impact on the cost of trading in the Gambia, which consumers have to bear in terms of increased retail prices of goods. The attendant consequences are increased as well to cost of living for domestic households, especially for women and less privileged citizens below the poverty line, thus the tendency to further spiral inflation. Overall, the opportunity cost of further delay in implementing the port expansion will aggravate the congestion being currently experienced against the background of the expected growth, and the competitiveness of the Port of Banjul would be adversely affected as a result of the negative impact of the surcharge, as mentioned, levied by the shipping lines. Currently, container ships wait at anchorage for 7 days on average, because only 2 commercial berths are available to accommodate such vessels. By end 2019, the port handled in excess of 130,000 containers and 2.8 million metric tons of cargo, which is about 9% growth compared to the previous year. The profitability or the possibility of traffic diversion to less expensive neighboring ports is becoming a reality. This stands to erode the revenue earning capacity of the GPA, but worse, it will reduce transit and cross-border trade, which constitutes about 60% of goods handled in the port. Thus, the need to implement the expansion project to keep the port viable and retains its competitive advantage as a regional hub, create more job opportunities, and contribute towards national socio-economic development. The Ministry of Transport, Works and Infrastructure and the Gambia Ports Authority are talking with financiers to address immediately the situation noted above. The negotiations are advanced with the African Finance Corporation, AFC. Also at the table is the African Development Bank, AFDB, and the European Investment Bank, EIB. Our target is to access the necessary financing within the shortest possible period and with the best possible terms, which are within the means of the GPA operations and revenue generation.
Any supplementary questions? Yes, Loa Nyomi. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honourable Minister, is it not possible to go into partnership with private companies that would desire to develop the port? Because the Gambia is losing a lot of revenue. You could say to Senegal, you could say the amount of cargo that leaves Senegal for the Gambia is too much. Why not try to speed it up by involving other partners?
Madam Speaker, the option is open and is being considered. In fact, we had several proposals been received over the years. I can name few from Dubai Port, from Red Sea Gate of Saudi Arabia, from the Netherlands even, but the options usually were evaluated and were not that advantageous for several reasons. One is that the port of Banjul is the main revenue generating outfit for the government, for this country. Two, the port of Banjul is occupying a vast real estate of the capital of this country. And thirdly, one of the considerations is that the port of Banjul handles 90% of the trade of this country by weight, by value, by volume. So to hand it over to a private enterprise under certain conditions are simply not acceptable. I mean, from a national point of view. So it's been difficult to really engage the private sector, which are only interested in generating profits within the very shortest possible time. I mean, one company that I also failed to mention is Bolloré, which is already operating in this country and is French-based. They have also approached government. But the terms so far have not been very attractive.
Yes, Ilyasa. Yeah, I was coming to you.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honourable Speaker, Honourable Minister, if I can hear correctly, you are saying that TEU, 20-foot container is paying about $200. Okay, one, if you can give us the meaning of TEU, and secondly, how much is 40-foot container is paying? Because if you are paying $200 for 20-foot container, how about 40-foot container? Thank you.
The TEU is just a unit used by the shipping, business, but it's simply a 20-foot container. That's what is meant by TEU. Container unit is 20 foot. And so a 40-foot container would be 2 TEUs. So that's the meaning of that unit. It's just an acronym. I don't know what the charge for container is. I don't know the details of it, but according to the explanation that I just gave, given the inefficiencies that we are now experiencing, we are losing something like $12 million per year. And which provides enough justification for us to speed up with the expansion of the port. But I don't think we are losing any competitive edge in the sense that we are a natural port. And even though we are congested, even though it's very hard to clear things to our port, the demand on our port has been increasing consistently by 8% every year. That is why you're seeing the congestion being persistent.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much, Honourable Minister. I think it will be unfair to my electorate if I am not particularly concerned about this particular question, because it is not only where I grew up, but it is also my constituency and the Honourable Minister's constituency, and I know that he has this constituency at heart as well. My concern, Honourable Minister, is the lack of employment generation from the port. On Sunday, I had a meeting with the youths of Banjul, and they were particularly concerned about seeing the buses that would transport the people that work at the port itself. And it is a cause for concern. Growing up in Banjul, Honourable Minister, we used to see the dockers coming from within the Banjul area, and that is no more. Honourable Minister, I know you are only the Minister of Transport, Works and Infrastructure and not directly in charge of the ports, but as a cabinet minister, I think, and also as an electorate of Banjul, I think when you go to that cabinet, we need to see that Like you said, the port is the main revenue generation for this country. But we are not seeing it in Banjul. They are not fulfilling their CSRs within the area. I would want to see Banjul, particularly Afdai, where the port is located, to at least see something being done. The least they can do is to facilitate the reconstruction of KG5, to maintain it, and to also look at the clinic in Banjul.
Honourable Minister,
Honourable Minister.
No, Honourable Member, not the Minister. Honourable Member, please can we, you remember that it's a supplementary question.
I understand, but he mentioned
yes, but I know.
He mentioned revenue
no, I
generation,
know.
and I'm linking
I
it to
appreciate
CSR.
your concerns. We all share the same concerns. But please, let it be within the remit of the rules and procedures.
Okay.
Please. Yes.
And you said that the demand is diminishing. Why is the demand of the use of port diminishing? Is it because of the lack of proper facilities? For example, even the ferry itself is creating...
See, the reason why I am
Honourable
drawing
Minister.
your attention is I'm expecting you to ask for clarification in case there is ambiguity. But it appears as if you are asking questions and also giving proposals. It's a different ball game if you want to give a suggestion to the Honourable Minister. Yes,
Okay.
but really to...
Honourable Speaker,
let's be in line with the rules,
I
please.
don't think the Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Minister can answer on behalf of port. That's why I am giving suggestions so that he can go to cabinet, because he is not in charge of the ports directly. So any question we pose to him will be irrelevant. So what I'm doing
Point of
is
order.
guiding him
Point of
so
order.
that when he goes, thank you.
The way that it is being done, that is out of order. Please.
Order.
No, I'm not taking any point of order. I have made
Because, no, we cannot be here back and forth. We have to conclude. Yes. So we have to use our book to guide us. Yes. If you are making a decision, we know.
Take note, please. Thank you. Can we proceed? Kiang Central.
Honourable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honourable Minister, are you thinking on this line in terms of engaging the investors, having dry port somewhere else in the country in order to reduce the congestion that we're talking about?
Madam Speaker, we are doing, in fact, more than that. We are engaging seriously in revitalizing river transport, which involves the creation of dry ports along the channel. Kouru is one and Basse is another. Yeah.
Thank you. Honourable Member for Serekunda.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The Honourable Minister has expressed the difficulty in getting funding to implement the project in full. Is there any plan to implement the project by gradualist measures? And if that is so, how far have they gone in actually meeting the short-term process of building up the project? And the linkage, I would not want to ask a second question, but I would have wanted to know, Honourable Speaker, if you allow me, the linkage between the building of a bridge and the expansion of the ports. Are they complementary?
Well, I didn't get the first question. Are we looking at order?
Yes, you have said that to implement the project in full, there is difficulty of funding. The question is, are you taking short-term measures to move towards the implementation of the project in full? And if so, what short-term measures have you taken so far to move in that direction?
Madam Speaker, I'm going to mention the lessons we have been learning in terms of project development so far. I mean, we all remember that we had a very ambitious national development plan, and we all remember that the national development plan had the expectation that a lot of the projects that were being envisaged were going to be funded externally. In fact, we were, in 2018 May, we were in Brussels with donors from all over the world, and the pledge was almost even to $1.7 billion. But as you all know, most of that pledging didn't materialize. So we had to change our strategy to look inwards. And we did approach this August body for an SAB. That's why we are moving ahead. In the same vein, we are doing this. We are doing this in the same with the port. We are thinking in the same lines now. That in the event that our negotiations have been so far this protracted, we might as well look at the short measures that you have mentioned, Honourable Member from Serekunda. We are thinking of using the revenue generated by the ports and looking at it as a means of collateral to raise funds. I mean, through the bonding system that government could use. I mean, to address quicker intervention into our plans. This is something that we are seriously considering and talking with the Minister of Finance. We are talking with Minister of Finance on this. That's one. The second question that you raised was the bridge as well as the versus the expansion of the port. Now, during the feasibility study of the bridge, one of the components was to look at the most optimal position to put the bridge. Most people call it Banjul-Bara Bridge because it's expected that it will be from Banjul to Bara. But according to this study, the best location for that bridge is around Maninari, and it will not have any conflict with the port expansion.
Yes, thank you. Do we have any further supplementary questions from honorable members? Eliasa, I have already given you the floor. Let's allow others in case. No? Well, in that case, you can have a second bite.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I am certainly convinced that the port itself can finance this project, because if you think, if you calculate the volume of containers arriving at the port, especially if 20-foot container is paying about $200, and also 40-foot container also is paying about $400, I'm 100% sure that the port will be able to at least invest 30% to construct this bridge, if things are done correctly. Thank you.
Well, this would need, proper studies, of course, to establish. But along the line of your reasoning, that's why we are exploring means of funding the port development through local means, not, from external sources. We are looking at that question. Can the port sustain funding its own development from the revenue it's receiving, because it's been quite viable, even given the constraint that it has right now. I mean, that's the question we want to answer. And we are looking at it with the Ministry of Finance. That do we have to depend on external funding all the time? Now, you know that recently we have been funding roads, like the Hakalang, like the North Bank rural roads. And roads, as you know, they are not revenue generating. These are very expensive infrastructure that there is no direct revenue coming from it. We are doing it. What about with an infrastructure that's bringing revenue? I think there are possibilities, really, that we have to explore. So it's a new mindset that we are trying to articulate and make people accept that there is a lot of potential that within us that we can utilize to do things. I mean, it's just a matter of changing our mindset.
One from Honourable nominated member Jaita.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Minister.
Yes, that's the last one.
I wasn't counting. From what you've just said, it seems like we've kind of misplaced our priorities. If I understand well, you were saying before we spend the money on the Hakalang roads, we could have used that money to invest in the sport, generate revenue, and use that revenue to build the roads, since those roads will not generate revenue. From just what I understand. But the next point is, given the fact that we had pledges in 2016, 2017 of 1.6 billion pledges, is there not any way you can tap into these funds to fund the ports project and the bridge project? What are you doing in that regard? Or what are the conditions that are stopping you from tapping into these resources for us to build these things to generate income for the country?
Okay, the first part of your point is that I think what I was explaining is that there are no misplaced priorities here, or we didn't miss anything. I was just trying to explain that the usual way of implementing projects from jumpstart in this country is to look outside for funding. We have been doing this, as a matter of reflex. If we want to do something, we have to look outside. And I was just explaining that, it doesn't have to be this way. And because of, and the lesson we learned was the NDP. We thought that we could get all this funding from the outside, and we couldn't. So we tried looking inwards, and we were able to, with Ministry of Finance, raise local funds to finance these projects. Even projects that are not revenue generating, that's what I meant, like roads, which are vital for other reasons. Not directly, people don't pay for running on or driving on roads, but they are vital to the economy. They are priority. And I'm saying, much more so, we should look into local financing, especially for projects that are revenue generating, like the Port of Banjul. That's what I meant. It's not misplaced priorities at all. It was just explaining that there is need now to look inwards, more or less. The second aspect of your point was the pledges of 1.7 billion. Now, it comes back to the first question. The difficulty with external funding, they keep putting conditions in front of you. They calculate your GDP and said you are also, they also calculate your debt. And they say that your debt to GDP ratio is not attractive. You should stop borrowing. We cannot lend you. We can only give you grants. And for grants, they determine the projects you have to do. They dictate it. Not the projects you want to do, but the projects they want to do. So that's why we couldn't access most of the 1.7 billion that they said they were going to give us. There were conditions that we couldn't fulfill or can still fulfill.
Honourable Speaker, my question wasn't answered. Can I just seek more clarity? Yes, the last part. I asked exactly what are these conditions that is blocking your access to the pledges? That's what I need clarity on, because we keep saying conditions, conditions. What is stopping you exactly from getting these monies?
No, I said it. The conditions I said is our debt to GDP ratio. It's not attractive. That's specific. Yeah.
Whether the honourable member was here when the honourable minister was responding, you were around? Maybe that this question, yeah, I think probably that's why you missed it. But anyway.
Is that the only is that the only condition that is stopping you from blocking the access?
That's the main one.
Condition.
That's the main
what
one.
What are the others? Thank you.
No. Okay, maybe to convince you, the main one is your debt to GDP ratio. I mean, that one, I mean, is monitored by IMF, World Bank, and they advise all donors, no, don't go there, because this country, their debt to GDP is not good. You know, that's the main one. But aside that, there are other conditions that they impose. Like you have to submit an ESI, that is environment impact study. I mean, they ask that. And your human rights, whatever. There are a host of things that they ask. And that would take time to submit, be vetted, and then they have to go to their board. In fact, the turnaround time for you to get a loan may be about 5 years. By the time you fulfill all these conditions and have board representation at their level and be accepted and all that. Yes. In other words, let me give you a very good example. The Lamin Koto Pasemas has been planned for the last 40 years. Back and forth with donors. It took a whole generation for us to implement it.
No, Honourable, I think we have to put a close to this. You can always follow it up with the ministry to give you more details. Yes, you have exhausted, we've exhausted the 7. We've exhausted the 7. Thank you very much. So the next question we'll proceed to is question number 180 of 2020 by the Honourable Member for Kombo East. And I think he's given authority to, I can't remember who, yes, Birkama North to read his question. Honourable Member for Birkama North. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honourable Speaker, can the Honourable Minister for Transport, Works and Infrastructure inform this August Assembly how soon the construction of the Gibora-Faraba-Sutu Road will commence?
Honourable Speaker, the Gibora to Faraba-Sutu Road is part of the NRA maintenance program for 2021 with funding from the road fund. But I was informed, very recently, that this has been taken over by events, which is not reflected in my notes here, which is reflected in my notes here, but not in yours, that an NGO called Shelter for Life has taken over the project with grant money from the USDA.
So in one of your answers, you said roads are not revenue generating. How do you cater for their maintenance? One.
This was a very specific question. Thank you. Any
Enlighten me.
Pardon?
I want to be enlightened.
You want to be enlightened?
Yes. You can answer it.
Yeah, but you had the opportunity when he mentioned...
I raised my tag. He didn't call me. I raised it. He didn't call me.
You raised your tag earlier on.
He didn't call me.
Well, unfortunately, we missed that then, so...
I raised it.
But probably, I am sure, I'll just advise you, just follow it. You want to enlighten him? Okay, and all of us for that matter, probably.
What is the question? Okay, if I heard you, well, you said roads are not revenue generating. There is something called road tax. What will that constitute? Road tax. Road tax. Yes, thank you.
Let us all share it, please. Why don't we use the other mic and see the table office? Oh, yes, that one. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I have to stand up. On your question? Yes. No, I was just saying that, we don't directly pay for driving on the roads unless it's a toll road, which happens. I mean, in Senegal, for instance, they are toll, the peage is a toll road. But we do pay for it, I mean, indirectly, in the sense that in the Gambia here, whenever you buy petrol or fuel, I mean, every liter you pay for at least, I think $3 is being, taken from the payment and submitted towards a road fund to maintain the roads. That's how we are maintaining our roads.
Satisfied? Thank you. Any more questions? No? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Question number 181 of 2020 by the Honourable Member for Bakau.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Constituency.
Honourable Speaker, the roads in the Kanifing municipality are in deplorable condition, and this affects the flow of traffic badly due to the unscheduled plying of high occupancy vehicles, heavy trucks. Can the Honourable Minister for Works and Infrastructure inform this Assembly if it is feasible to schedule the movement of these vehicles, and if yes, what is holding his ministry from applying those measures? Thank you.
Madam Speaker, if I understand the question, the movement of these vehicles, I think, is between a period at night, right? That's the intention of the question. Why can't they move at night? Yes. Yes. Honorable Speaker, the deplorable state of traffic situation within the KMC, or GBA for that matter, is due to several factors, including poor land use planning, lack of traffic management, very little formal public transport facilities and vehicles, inadequate number of taxi parks, free parking on the traffic lanes, proliferation of vending stalls and workshops on the sidewalks, etc., etc. The proposed scheduling of the operation of the trucks by the Honourable Member for Bakau from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. was once tested, but was found to have serious negative impact on the operations of the Port of Banjul. Most of the goods transported by the trucks are normally cleared from the ports during the daytime. As such, if trucks are loaded and have to wait until in the evening to move from the port, this would create severe congestion, and only at the port, but not only at the port, but in the Banjul streets. This immediately would have negative impact on the overall commercial operations in the economy. In our efforts for a sustainable solution, the ministry already constituted a multi-stakeholder transport facilitation committee to look into the issue of transport facilitation, and one of the subcommittees is responsible for traffic management. This subcommittee is brainstorming on a holistic solution to the long-standing problem, and hopefully the solutions will address the traffic congestion in the whole country, including the KMC.
Now,
Thank you.
Yes,
that's
go
fine.
ahead. You can ask your supplementary question.
I'm fine with the question, with the answer.
You're satisfied with the answer?
Yes.
Okay. Honorable members, any supplementary? No? Okay, then no supplementary. Thank you. Question number 182 of 2020 by the Honorable Member for Ol Yundum has authorized the Honorable Member for Sanementereng. Am I right? Yes, thank you. That's the information I got from the table office. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the recently inaugurated Jambanjeli Road is without street lights. That is meant to provide security for vehicles and residents around. Can the Honorable Minister for Works and Infrastructure inform this August Assembly whether his ministry is working on possibilities of erecting street lights on this very important road network?
Honorable Speaker, the NRA has engaged and requested NAWEC to consider expanding the street light network along the Jambanjeli Road and even other parts of the nation's road network. However, the issue of NAWEC is the lack of payment of street light bills by the councils. Councils need to pay for the street light bills in their respective regions or consider exploring the use of solar energy type of lighting. The Ministry of Transport, Works and Infrastructure is open for discussion with the councils in this regard, especially as we expand the road networks in the regions. I must add to this, though, although maybe it's not appearing on your notes, that the original design of the Jambanjeli Road had street lights, but could not be accommodated within the budget, so it was just limited to the Jambanjeli town.
For him, Sanementereng, you don't. Okay, Honorable Member for Central Badibu, supplementary. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, I want to be clear. In the initial contract document, didn't you have the electric poles there, street lights?
Madam Speaker, that's right. The original design had it, but as I mentioned, the budget couldn't accommodate it. The cost could not be accommodated. So we had to reduce it only to cover the town itself, Jambanjeli.
Honorable Speakers, since the Honorable Minister has mentioned the road fund, and the NRA is in charge of that fund, would it not be prudent for the revenue that the road fund should generate by way of road tax be utilized for the total maintenance of the road as well as provision of facilities such as street lights, way bridges, which could in some instances become even income generating. Shouldn't there be a comprehensive review of the road fund and the task that the National Road Authority should undertake in order to address such problems?
Madam Speaker, that would be ideal. Only that the revenue being generated from this tax for the fund is not even adequate for the maintenance of the existing and expanding roads that we have. So to include other items may be difficult at this point. But the particular problem with street lights is that they need operational cost. There is operational cost. It's not just a question of installation. I mean, if NAWEC is providing the electricity, they have to be paid. And that's where the problem usually is. Because NAWEC is not going to provide it free. They are asking the councils to chip in. And that has been the stalemate here, the problem.
Yes, Sami?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honourable Minister, have your office ever engaged the council with regard to these street lights? Did your ministry ever engage the councils with regard to the street lights?
I must say no, because street lights have not been was not under our purview, but we engage NAWEC about it. And NAWEC is telling us about the councils. So maybe we should have a tripartite meeting instead on this issue. Yeah.
Any more questions? No? Okay. Thank you. Then move over to question number 183 of 2020 by the Honourable Member for Old Yundum constituency. He's equally authorized, Sane Mentereng, to read his questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the Nemakunku Sukuta Highway will undoubtedly decongest the Sukuta Coastal Road as well as the Bundung Latrikunda Highway. Can the Honourable Minister for Works and Infrastructure inform this August Assembly whether his ministry has any plans to construct this road in 2021? Thank you.
Honourable Speaker, the Nemakunku Sukuta Highway will undoubtedly decongest the Sukuta Coastal Road as well as the, sorry, I'm reading your question. Honourable Speaker, the Sukuta Latrikunda Road, which is called P5, is one of the 20 roads identified under the OIC Infrastructure Urban Roads Development Project. The road intersects with 4 other collector roads, P8, P12, P13, and P15 under the OIC project. The road will be single carriageway with 2 lanes, sidewalks, drains, street lights, and will have asphalt surface. Currently, the consultant PACE and GAMEX has conducted the topographical survey and geotechnical studies for the detailed design. Construction works are scheduled to commence for the first quarter 2021. But in addition to this, the road is now being advertised. I mean, if you look at the papers for the construction works. So it's quite advanced, and I think they are going to open or close the tenders by end of this month or so.
Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Minister mentioned the 20 roads. Would the Honourable Minister be ready to provide the Assembly with the 20 roads that are supposed to be covered under the OIC in writing for our documentation?
Forwarded to the Office of the Clerk, it will be distributed. Thank you.
Okay, will do.
Thank you. Any more, honorable members? Thank you. Then we proceed. Question number 184 of 2020 by honorable member for Jimara.
Yes.
Yes, Nyamina East has the authority. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, can the Honorable Minister for Works and Infrastructure inform this August Assembly whether his ministry has any plan to construct the road linking Numuyel, Demakunda to Basse?
Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, may I assure the honorable member of Jimara constituency that the Ministry of Transport, Works and Infrastructure is aware of the need to connect many important settlements to the recently completed Sotuma-Sire-Gambisara road. But as usual, the problem is the availability of necessary funds and our inability to intervene in all these roads at the same time. However, we continue to carry out in-house studies and to incorporate all major, minor, tertiary roads at least into our program of road projects.
Thank you. Do you have any supplementary questions from honorable members? Okay, thank you. And question number 185 of 2020 by honorable member for Jimara constituency. Yes, Nyamina East.
Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, can the Honorable Minister for Works and Infrastructure inform this August Assembly if his ministry has any plan to construct the road linking Sarabojo Lumo